In this video, we're going to take a look at lines and curves of best fit. To find a line or curve of best fit, you're going to have to use Desmos. First, you need to click the plus button and then click on Table. Then you can enter your data. The most important thing is to figure out whether your data looks like a line or a curve, quadratic. If it's a line, then this is the equation you are going to need. M is your slope, B is your y-intercept, just like when we learned how to graph lines in class. If you decide that your data looks like a curve, this is the equation that you will need. You do have to memorize both of these equations. But the equation for a line is basically y equals mx plus b. The equation for a curve of best fit is a little bit harder to remember, but if you look at the SOL formula sheet, that can give you a hint. On the SOL formula sheet, under quadratic formula, it says where ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Ax squared plus bx plus c is basically the same thing as this equation for the curve of best fit. So if you get confused, just look at your formula sheet. For our first example, our table shows the number of clients at a restaurant per day and the amount of tips that were received that day. We want to know which equation represents this data. So we need to type this into Desmos. If you go to Desmos, you need to click this plus button in the top and then Table. Then you need to type your data in. The first column represents the first column in this table, the x values, and the second column represents the second column in this data, or the y values. So, after we have typed our data in, we need to zoom in or zoom out until we can see our scatter plot. You can see that this data basically forms a line. So in the second line of Desmos, we need to type our equation for the line of best fit. And then it's going to give us a bunch of numbers. The important numbers are the parameters, m and b. So we know that our m should be 2.2 something and our b should be 65 point something. So let's look at our answer choices. M should be the first number, the one with the x. It's not those. M was positive 2.2, like we have in answer B. And B was 65 point something. So this is our best equation. Sometimes you are asked to use your linear or quadratic model to find the best approximate answer. If you're looking for an x value, type y equals a number and see where it intersects your line of best fit or curve of best fit. If you're looking for the y value, type x equals whatever number you're given and see where that intersects your line or curve of best fit. For problem number 2, the table to the right shows the data collected on the number of hours a group of students studied for a test and the score each student earned on that test. Based on the line of best fit, which is the closest to the score a student would obtain from studying for 4 hours? How long did a student study if they received a 95 on the test? So they're asking several different questions here. Let's start by typing our data into Desmos. Click plus, table, and then type our data in. Once we have our data typed in, we need to zoom in or zoom out a little bit until we can see our scatter plot. Now, the problem told us that we specifically want a line of best fit. So let's go ahead and type that equation into the second line of Desmos. Let's go back and read our question again. It says, what is the closest to a score a student would obtain from studying for 4 hours? The amount of time that somebody studies is the x value. So here we want to know if x equals 4, what is y? So I'm going to go back to Desmos and type x equals 4. So the red line is my line of best fit, the black line is x equals 4. I want to see where they intersect. I know that the x is 4, I'm trying to find the y. So if you look here, the y value is 74.873. So this means that this person probably got about a 75 on their test. So this would be about 75% if they studied for 4 hours. The second question asks us, how long did a student study if they received a 95 on the test? So we know that their grade was a 95, and the test score is y. So we know y is 95. We want to know what x is. So let's go back to Desmos, erase x equals 4, and type y equals 95. And I want to see where this line intersects my line of best fit. I need to know the x value. So the x value is 7.208. So this person, if they got a 95, probably studied for about 7 hours. Next, sometimes you are given a scatter plot and then asked questions. If you want to know which value of x would best match a y value of 47, you go to where y is 47 and you ask yourself, if we had the line right through here, about what would the x be if we know that y is 47? So you go straight across until you get to about where your line of best fit would be, and then go down to see what the x value would be. You do the same thing the other way. Which value of y would best match an x value of 5.5? Well, if your line of best fit is about here, you go to where x is 5.5, go up to the line of best fit, and then go over to the y-axis to see what the y value would be. So let's look at an example. Based on this scatter plot, which x value would best match y equals 14? So y equals 14 is about here. If we had our line of best fit, it would be something like this. So if I take that line, y equals 14, all the way over to the blue line, and then go straight down, it's between 4 and 6, so it's probably 5. For example number 4, which is the most likely equation for the curve of best fit for the relationship shown in the graph? The best thing to do here is to type all of the answer choices into Desmos and look at the graphs. So I have already typed all 4 answer choices into Desmos. We can tell from our scatter plot that this is definitely a curve, not a line. So if we look at the graphs in Desmos, The blue one and the green one are definitely lines, so those are not correct. The purple one and the black one are both curves, but you got to pay attention to which direction the curve is going. Our curve definitely goes up and then down. It has a maximum. So that means that the black graph best matches our data. And that was answer choice D. Lastly, we want to know which equation best represents this data set. Even though these are written as points, this is the same as if we were given a table. We have x and y, 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 and x and y. So we just need to go to Desmos. Again, you click plus and table and type in your data. So here we have our data. I'm going to move the graph a little bit so I can see better. And I want to know which of these equations best fits that data. Well, I think it's pretty obvious that this is a curve. So we know we need an equation that gives us a curve. So let's type all 4 of those answer choices into Desmos. Here we have our 4 equations. As you can see, the black graph is the one that best fits our green scatter plot. And that is answer choice B.